Considering that every piece of Transformers media ever created has been done so with the primary intention of selling toys, there is a surprising amount of depth and emotion behind the cartoons, movies, and comics that support the toy brand. Just to be clear, I'm not saying that productions such as the 2007 film or even Transformers Animated should be considered high art or anything like that. What I'm trying to convey is that ever since the original Generation 1 cartoon, the creative teams behind Transformers media have done a damn good job of making us care about the plastic figures on our shelves. When conversing about the best Transformers adaptations, a few obvious answers come to mind. The original Generation 1 cartoon, the 1986 animated film, the 2007 live-action film, Transformers Animated, More Than Meets the Eye, Transformers Prime, Last Stand of the... Listen, I could spend a whole video listing off awesome Transformers productions, but for the sake of brevity, I'll just skip to the piece of media that is integral to this video. One cannot talk about awesome Transformers media without mentioning the Cybertron games. The Cybertron games are, no. You can f*** right off. Yeah, that's right. Piss off. It makes me sick just looking at you. Go away. Nobody wants you here. Transformers War for Cybertron and Transformers Fall of Cybertron are third-person shooters that were developed by High Moon Studios and released by Activision in the early 2010s. They are critically acclaimed and adored by the Transformers community and general audiences alike. Both games follow the final days of Cybertron as the war between the Autobots and Decepticons slowly destroys the planet. The gameplay is excellent, the roster of characters is diverse, and the narrative told between both games is one of the finest the franchise has to offer. I don't have to tell you how great these games are. Everybody knows they're great, and everybody has played them. If you haven't played them, then why are you even here? The reason I bring up these games in conversation with Transformers media and advertisement is because these games themselves are not only golden examples of effective and moving Transformers content, but they also spawned other Transformers stories that are just as, if not more, powerful. These games are responsible for inspiring one of the most moving, emotional, beautiful, and badass pieces of the Transformers franchise ever. The most amazing part is, it's an ad. I'll let it speak for itself.
Welcome to Burger King. Can I take your...
Yeah, a Whopper. No cheese, no onions.
Wait, no, sorry, wrong tape. Let me just...
Fine.
Okay, here we go.
The quakes, the wind, the fire. I've conquered country, crown and throne. Why can't I cross this river? Pay no mind to the battles you've won. It'll take a lot more than rage and muscle. Open your heart and hands, my son, or you'll never make it over the river. And take a lot more than words and guns, a whole lot more than riches and muscle. The hands of the lady as one, and together we'll cross the river. Together we'll cross the river. Together we'll cross the river.
It just gets better with every rewatch. This cinematic trailer was one of the first teasers to be released for Fall of Cybertron. The trailer debuted at the Spike TV Video Game Awards in December of 2011 and served as the first substantial glimpse into what Fall of Cybertron would present. It's all about first impressions, and this trailer definitely nailed it. It's cool, emotional, and it was a good enough advertisement back in the day that it made you want to storm into High Moon headquarters and hold the developers at gunpoint so they would finish the game even faster. But to me personally, this trailer represents a greater phenomenon within the Transformers franchise and is a perfect example of how the idea of Transformers media being advertisements for toys has now been totally subverted. I've said this before and I'll say it again. Transformers is a toy brand. The entire goal of the franchise and everything related to it is to sell toys. As long as the TV shows and movies make you care enough to buy a toy, then they have fulfilled their purpose. But this short trailer proves that even something as commercial as a cinematic trailer can be made with enough passion and care to elevate it beyond a simple advertisement. I wouldn't call this a trailer, I would call it a short film. Although, for simplicity's sake, I'm still going to refer to it as a trailer. Where do I even begin with this masterpiece? I would have to say that the song is what stands out right away. The Humbling River, performed by the American rock band Pucifer, is the track that accompanies the trailer, and it is perfect. It's a perfect song to put behind the scene of total war unfolding in the trailer. We open on Optimus Prime carrying a wounded Bumblebee through the battlefield. Starscream comes flying in for the kill, only to be utterly annihilated by Ironhide, and Jazz holds back Soundwave behind them. Optimus places Bumblebee down and reassures him with caring eyes as the light in Bee's eyes flickers. We pull back onto the Autobots as Optimus rises and the battlefield is revealed in front of them. We see Megatron brutally bashing Autobots below as he commands his Decepticons to charge the Autobots. Bruticus forms below to join the fray. Just when it looks as if the Autobots are outmatched, Grimlock emerges and transforms, engulfing the screen in flames as we fade to the title. It's a pretty standard Transformers Rumble with a little bit of added emotion from Bumblebee's condition, but something about the way this trailer is composed elevates it into something greater. The juxtaposition between the chaotic action and the somber music creates a haunting atmosphere that perfectly captures the tone and feeling of the war tearing Cybertron apart. We see the Autobots attempting to preserve life as they fight to save Bumblebee, and we see the Decepticons slaughtering soldiers. Without even a word, the true nature of both sides is conveyed. It goes without saying that the animation is gorgeous. The animators pull off the scale and chaos of a Cybertronian battle perfectly, but even manage to pull off more subtle stuff like actually conveying emotion with only Optimus's eyes. The concept of show don't tell is utilized to a masterful degree in this trailer. The people who made this thing clearly took a cue from the same people who made the Believe trailer for Halo 3. There is a serious amount of visual symbolism and emotional depth present in this piece, considering that all it's trying to do is sell you a game. It's a perfect example of how the Transformers brand has ascended beyond purely aiming to sell toys and is now equally concerned with telling compelling and emotional narratives based on the franchise's biggest characters. That's the wider point I'm trying to make here. This trailer isn't trying to sell you on a game, it's trying to get you invested in a wider narrative. Yes, the core motive of the trailer is to make you buy this game, but there is enough artistic and conceptual merit present here that the commercial stands on its own as a valid piece of artistic animation. In my humble opinion, there's more emotion and story conveyed in this 2-minute trailer than anything the 6 live action films ever managed to conjure up. So yes, I'm basically making an advertisements can be art too argument here. But Transformers has a special position within this sentiment. That being that Transformers media made in conjunction with the toys has moved past being just high budget advertisements and evolved into its own independent creative avenue within the franchise. Back in the day, they created the G1 cartoon based off of the original toys. Decades later, they didn't design the toys for the 2007 film or Transformers Prime before making the features themselves. The toys came after. See my point? The narrative behind the Transformers franchise has become so powerful that an ad for a game that came out 10 years ago can still be enough to make you shed a tear today. If you take anything away from this video, then let it be this. Transformers continues to persevere as a franchise because we genuinely care about the characters and narrative behind the toys. I mean, when the figures cost this much, you need to be obsessed with these characters to buy these. The Humbling River Fall of Cybertron trailer is a prime example of how Transformers can be genuine and emotional when it wants to be. If something as trivial as a trailer for a video game can give us one of the best Transformers scenes of all time, then you know we are dealing with a franchise that has merit beyond purely selling toys. I don't really know what the core focus of this video is. I just wanted to find an interesting way to talk about this awesome trailer for an awesome game that I adore. It's honestly just impressive that this masterpiece manages to sum up everything the franchise revolves around in less than 2 minutes, as well as proving that even when it's at its most commercial, the Transformers franchise always makes you care about the stuff you are investing in. Transformers television shows, movies, and games aren't made just to sell toys anymore. People write and develop stories within the franchise because they give a shit about the characters. It's just like what we've been saying for decades now. The Transformers franchise is truly more than meets the eye.